Alright, what's up guys? Today we're taking a look at the patch notes for 13.14 and the start of the second rank split for League of Legends. I think there's a lot of changes, as well as talking about a lot of the events for Soul Fighter coming up. I think a lot of people are excited, specifically about that 2v2v2 mode. Um, I'm also looking forward to it. Probably going to be making some videos about it, as well as the new champion Nefiri. I don't think she's coming out just yet. She's not out today, but will be out tomorrow. So, taking a look at everything. Let's see here. So, first thing they're talking about. So, for anybody who played ranked this split, you should be getting all of your rewards by the end of the patch 13.15, which is on August 14th. It's a long time for the rewards, but because they're doing it twice this year, I mean, it makes sense to me that it's going to take them a while to do it. This game and more being streamed over on my Twitch. Submit your games in my Discord for review. And the Victorious skin for the first split was Victorious Anivia, which I think is cool. I think Anivia getting a skin, that's pretty awesome. Let's see here. Some of the changes in the second split, they're testing removing all promotional series between tiers now. So let's see here. They're also removing the placement game. The placement games is down from 10 to 5. So, seeing that. Master plus duo queue restrictions. Let's see here. So you can actually duo in Master. That's pretty cool. Note that duo restrictions based on physical rank are still active, so a player who reaches Master or above will not be able to duo. Oh. What? I don't understand. That says... Oh, with an MMR. Sorry, okay, I misread. So yeah, the second you hit Masters, you still can't do it. Okay. The arena mode, that's going to be fucking really fun. I'm looking forward to that. This is a meta game that they're doing, kind of like the event front page. Nefiri. So, Aatrox. Aatrox is receiving a little bit of a buff. They're nerfing his base damage on his Q by 5 points per rank after the second point because they're adding a large percentage to his percent AD that he's gaining, which is it's gonna equal a buff at 100 AD is what they're saying here. So he's gonna be totally fine. I think he's gonna be in a better spot. I don't think he's necessarily unplayable right now. He's definitely playable, but he wasn't really able to compete with a lot of the best top laners like Jax, for instance. So it makes sense. They're also buffing his wave clear, which has been I think a problem for Aatrox, as he has to burn like 2 rotations of his entire queue to clear the wave, and this is gonna be, I think this is gonna make it probably one rotation of his queue should clear the wave. So Diana's been a little weak, only because I think a lot of the current meta beats her. She's kind of a stat sick champion, so like she still can be played because if you get ahead, you're just gonna delete people, and that's just the nature of Diana. But they think that she needs a little bit of a buff, and it's not a huge buff. It's 5 to her shield strength and 5% AP scaling. It's pretty good, and then also it's a late game buff to her E because her E usually I think is the last maxed ability because her W is way stronger. So makes sense to me. I think it's fine. Hecarim is getting a super nerf on his W. He's losing 10 armor and magic resist, looks like, per point. That's a big nerf to him. He's been too tanky, honestly. He's just running over everything. And his Spirit Shojin is getting buffed this patch, so they're thinking it's going to equal out. Jax is getting a big nerf, actually, here. So, the 1 second on Counter-Strike is not a big deal, but they are doubling the mana cost of his R from 50 to 100. Now, if you've ever played Jax, you would know that a lot of the times around level 6, Jax is running anytime he's going in, he's trading, he's using basically all the mana he's got at this point in the game. So, he's going to burn everything he's got here. and it's gonna be really hard for him to get that R cost to like fit into what his trades, so or even going for a kill. That's gonna be a big nerf to Jax's early game. So Karthus, he's been needing some nerfs purely because he keeps dominating the bot lane, specifically as an AD carry. I think it makes sense to me. Let's see here. They're trying to buff his jungle clear while nerfing his laning just a tiny bit, so that way he doesn't hurt the jungle Karthus. Where yeah, and they're nerfing like the mana he gets back for every kill. It's a good nerf because he's not really uber strong. He just needs to just be hit in specific ways. Kindred is receiving the a revert on those stats and the tankiness that they took from her, because now they're reducing her damage, as well as they're nerfing Triforce for ranged champions. So they're trying to make it so that way she's not just the squishiest jungler now. So they're giving her back 30 of her health and 3 of her armor. She's losing some damage on her Q, and the cooldown is going up to 9 seconds. I think that's pretty big for her. That's going to be a pretty big nerf. Especially because she's losing her go-to build. I don't really think any of the other items were really performing well on her besides Triforce, so she might kind of get pushed out with all these nerfs. But somebody will figure out something else. Lissandra's getting a bunch of QLL changes, so her passive, like the thralls when people die, they would lose. They would stop following people into bushes because they don't have vision. Now they have true sight. They can just follow people anywhere. They aren't invisible. And also, if they're in a bush and somebody walks out of it, they don't become invisible to that person. You can see them through bushes. Q slows all enemies hit instead of just the first enemy. I think most people already thought it did this, so it's just kind of bringing it in line with expectations. And then they're buffing the self-heal amount on her ultimate, just because most of the time Lissandra's, it's more appealing to use it on somebody else, just because now you're stunning them. They're giving it a little bit of a reason to use it on yourself. I think that's fine. I think that's pretty good, honestly. Makes it so Lissandra, instead of just doing what she's been doing, which is shutting down a target, she starts looking for some like flanks and stuff like she used to. Milio's getting another nerf. I still think that this is too much. The champion's is 50%, but they really are targeting pro skill, like pro players. They're hitting the burn damage that he does again. It's not. That's really bad. He doesn't do any damage. If you keep hitting his damage, he can't fucking do anything. So, the bonus movement speed, I think that's fine. I think it's fine to take away the bonus movement speed. Everybody he speeds up does move extremely fast. But that, keep hitting his damage, and he literally can't, he just is not going to get played compared to every other enchanter. He can't compete with them. Rek'Sai is getting a nerf, pretty big nerf too, because she's been absolutely way too strong ever since they gave her that power from the to compensate for losing Prowler's Claw. Hitting 5 damage, it looks like, on Burrow, but big. They're changing her E from bonus AD to total AD, so they're nerfing the base by 50 damage, which means that this is probably gonna be like 35 damage, I would assume. Like level 1, you're looking at like 35, maybe 25. So it's a big nerf to Rek'Sai's E. And I mean, she's just been way too strong. She can duel too hard. I think the real reason she's a little bit too strong is because the healing that they added, the percentage of maximum health that they added to the W when you're burrowed is just too much. So she's just always full health. You fight her, she leaves for a second, almost comes back to full health, and then turns around and fights you again. Rel is getting a nerf. They're bringing her passive back in line with what it was before the rework, but it takes you way longer to get it to max stacks than it did before. I think that's pretty bad. I think that really just like makes it really feel like shit to play Rel, but that's the only thing they're really changing. And she is performing really well just because the the fucking Q and E change is just absurd. Like you can't beat it. Rengar is getting a slight nerf to his crit strike. I think that's fine. A lot of Rengars have been building the crit strike build, but honestly, I think he performs just as well with lethality, and I think this is gonna probably just push the Rengars into going back into lethality, which is just the same. Like he's gonna be just as fine. Shaco's getting a bunch of bug fixes and the slight buff to his Deceive, which is usually his second or last maxed ability, depending on if you're AD or AP Shaco. I think this is pretty good for Shaco. It means he can go Essence Reaver and do some pretty good damage. Prowler's Claw can now apply to his Shaco clone. They're removing the ability for Zeri's Q to instantly kill Shaco's boxes, which is good for bot lane. That was when Shaco's support, like Zeri destroys him, but Zeri also is kind of unplayable now. And then also his boxes don't die to Hextech Dragon Lightning AoE. Some slight bug fixes, it'll probably do well for Shaco mains, because honestly, boxes are a big part of their kit. Shyvana is getting a bunch of AD ratios added to her kit, and her Q is getting some attack speed buffs after the 2 autos, which is going to make it really good for going the tanky AD builds on Shyvana again. Like, for instance, Iceborne, Bork, Titanic Hydra builds. Those builds are going to be doing a lot better on Shyvana, which I think we'll see a lot more of her, because I think when Demonic got nerfed, she kind of fell out of play. So Volibear's getting some slight buffs, really slight. His passive is going up 10% AP ratio, which, I mean, he's not really building AP, so it's not really doing that much. A bug QOL update for his Q that can sometimes make it so that he would Q and then he couldn't auto attack for a couple seconds, and not even maybe like a second. And then big missing health buffs to his W. This is actually what is pretty big. That an extra 4%, because usually you're gonna max W, so that's pretty big for tank Volibear. Xerath is getting his mini rework. Where they changed his passive so that way it refunds on kills. This is a nerf to support Xerath, but a buff to mid lane Xerath. And then the R is just a buff to Xerath in general. I mean, giving him more bolts and stacking damage on landing the bolts. At 6, if he hits all 6 on, honestly, if he hits all 5 on somebody, he's gonna kill them. So it's like at rank 2 at level 11. If he hits 5 on a mid laner or ADC or support, like, they're dead. So that's pretty strong for him. Honestly, it gives him the opportunity to play way further off screen. So I think that's pretty good. I'm excited to try it out too, because I don't really understand the hitting turrets will now proc mana surge. If that just means that when it's on cooldown it procs it, or if it means anytime you're hitting a turret you're getting mana back, because that's really fucking good for Xerath if that's the case. Zyra is getting a bunch of QOL stuff. They're buffing the plant health against AoE spells. So specifically, AoE spells would always instantly clear all Zyra's plants, making her so useless against AoE. And they're buffing the damage that it does to epic monsters, actually to all monsters, which is this is really good. Base bonus damage to monsters is always more than like 150%, because the plant base damage does not scale off of your AP. It just scales off of your items. Sorry, it doesn't scale off of skill level. Just scales off of your items. W buff, that's really good. That means that the second you hit 2, you can hit somebody with an E and a double plant. That's really strong. You can now E flash, and then also Zyra's R now casts at max range instead of making her walk forward. That's also good. Items. Axiom buff. Nobody's really building it. Makes sense to me. Gale Force nerf another 30 seconds. Really trying to push it out so that people will build Infinity Edge instead. They're buffing Infinity Edge's critical strike damage by 10% and hitting it for 5 AD. I don't know if this is enough to make people still build it just because this just feels too good to build, but we'll start seeing it more. I mean, Samira is going to love this. Samira is already building this, so... Prowler's Claw getting 3 more lethality. Makes sense. Randuin's Omen's getting some more critical strike damage reduction, making it better for countering those crit champions. It's pretty good. Spear Shojin is getting a 50 health buff and a 100 gold reduction. Makes sense. I think this item's really good on the champions it's really good on. It's just not that good on champions it's not good on. So, but maybe more people will try it out now. 10 more magic resistance on Spirit Visage, making it a little bit more appealing since they nerfed Force of Nature. Statikk Shiv getting a big nerf to the wave clear on minions. Makes sense. They're giving it some attack speed to compensate for the damage nerf. It shouldn't be able to clear the caster minions. And that's what they're hoping to have it do. They don't want it to clear caster minions anymore. So Statik's Gauge also getting 50 health and 100 gold reduction. Trinity Force is getting a slight nerf. The biggest people it's hitting are ranged champions, so it's taking they can stack it faster, but they lose out on the maximum AD because they could stack it instantly. Whereas melees can now stack it way faster, so it's actually kind of better on melees. Ghost is getting a pseudo nerf, pseudo rework. It's a nerf to ADCs that were taking Ghost, but it's kind of a buff to everybody else that was taking Ghost, specifically for 1v1 lane matchups. The 5 extra seconds of base duration is like really good for anybody who is using that to get one kill. Whereas before in a team fight, like an ADC who's cleaning up, they would have like 30 seconds of Ghost, so it was really strong. Jungle is getting some buff nerfs, it looks like. So early game, their true damage is getting hit, as well as the melee slow and the melee slow, as well as their ability haste early game. But the ability haste on blue buff is getting buffed later, which is around the time level 11 is around the time it starts being sharing buffs. So it's 5 more ability haste for whoever's getting the blue buffs. ARAM, we've got, there's a clash coming up this weekend, July 22nd, 23rd. Let's see here. We got the arena augments, the arena mode's coming out soon. We got no information. It's kind of interesting. They don't put any information about Naafiri in here. But when she does come out, I'll be making a video about her. A lot of bug fixes, a bunch of skins. We got the Soul Fighter skin line. The set Samir is supposed to be the legendary. People don't really like what it's looking like though, apparently. I think so it's Prestige Pike. That's interesting. I think Pike already has a Prestige skin with the Ashen Knight, but I think the Naafiri skin looks pretty cool. Honestly, Set will probably look pretty cool too. But that's everything, guys. If you got any questions or champions you'd like to see me play, feel free to put them in the comments. But thanks for watching, and hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. See ya. Join my Discord and submit your games for the next VOD review.